divine light of all love. Perfect creation of God's wisdom. This acceptance within is given unconditionally, given because it is the truth, because it is what is, because only love exists. There is only one kind of a stipulation that goes with it, which is that as you accept daily, hourly, more and more deeply the acceptance of your divine beingness, your light, that as you accept that, there's an element that falls away. There's an element of untruth that falls away. And that as you deepen the truth within, accepting the truth, more and more of the false identity just falls away, because it can no longer be tolerated with love, not with any kind of hatred, but just intolerable. It doesn't fit. It doesn't balance in the truth of love. So the false identities and the roles and everything just fall away. No longer attractive in their same way that they used to be. And as the door opens into the truth of what is, nothing from the past goes with you. Only the love. The love that has always been, that might be considered from the past. That truth of love remains. So the secret of healing really holds that there is no sacrifice, because nothing that is reality can be sacrificed. And because love is who you are, what you are, and you take the love that has always been, it's with you always. Nothing from anything that you have lived, all of that possible love will come with you. And because you will see for the first time the truth of all beloveds that were seemingly from the past, and you see them as the Christ, you see them as the light of God, and they go with you too. They go with you as the light of God that they are. The spirits become one again. It doesn't have any meaning at all to whether someone is still in a body. In the oneness that falls away, and the divine spirit is reunited. And it's all love. So there's never any concern about the road to freedom. The hoax that the ego plays a game of making beloveds fearful, of losing control, or not knowing, which is the same thing. All that fear is just a big hoax, because no one had any control anyways of anything. Love holds no control. Love flows in perfect harmony. And the illusions shift and change, and there's nothing to hold on to there. And instead of believing that there is anything to control, you begin to rest for the first time, to truly rest in God. That there is a power of the universe, and you don't have to worry about anything, because love is the divine orchestration, and you are that love. And in that love is harmony and peace and joy, and nothing is ever missing, because love has no limitation. And so the soothing part of the journey is to realize you don't have to worry about what you're letting go and what you're walking toward, because it's all perfect. And it's all divinely orchestrated, simply, easily. So in that happy acceptance, at resting place in God, we affirm here now that the universe is all love. And that there is nothing to fear, and nothing to prove, nothing to do, but just say yes, in and through and with the divine, and affirm in this moment that as this universe is all love, so is this sanctuary filled with love. And the embracing, the acceptance that there is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And the life force of God, that is the truth of love itself. As we embrace that life force, we live and move and breathe as one. One heart in devotion to all love. This hymn really speaks to, and I sang it recently, this hymn speaks to the temptation of pride, the temptation of vanity, all the temptations of making an identity even in the spiritual journey, and the true letting go moment to moment. Sister, brother, pay keen attention. Go very, very slowly to not mistake your path. Sister, brother, keep your feet on the ground. Be careful with your pride. Be careful with your vanity. Sister, brother, go very, very slowly. Be careful with the traps of life on your path. Sister, brother, journey with attention, sincerity in the heart, to walk well on this earth. To have a teacher say, pay attention. It's one of those places that the ego rails against many times the calling from a teacher that says, pay attention, go very, very slowly, to not mistake your path, even though it's completely given in love. The ego interpretation of it many times is, don't tell me what to do. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And I'll be the decider of how it is as I walk on the path. That's the hidden ego. That's not necessarily the ego voice that's saying, okay, but underneath there can be such a resistance to following the guidance of love. And this is guidance. This is the gift of guidance that comes in the written offering. But to really pay attention, to pay keen attention, is a loving gift to yourself. It will open the doors so much more easily with that divine direction of paying attention. Go very, very slowly. That is not the ego's way most of the time. But to go very, very slowly is just to be present, be available, and let God lead. Only for your love, only for your divine charity, I ask for healing, O my Blessed Mother. Only for your love, and through your love, I ask you to bring healing in this moment to my awareness and heal what is necessary so that I can be available for the truth of love. Apenas por vosso amor, apenas por caridade, a vos te damos louvor, ó Virgem da Castidade. Apenas por vosso amor, atendo nosso chamado, ajuda na sucessão, a curar a necessitados. The intention of this hymn is intimacy. It is an intimate calling to the Divine Mother to heal what the Divine Mother recognizes within as needing healing. It's an exposure. Heal what is necessary. I'm putting my faith and trust in the Divine Mother to heal what is necessary. I may not know what it is. I may have a hint here or there, but I put it into the hands of the Divine Mother to heal what is necessary. And in that I rest in the faith that it's always pure love that sees what is most helpful for you. There's never a trick. There's no tricks on the side of love. Those are only on the ego side. In the truth of love, there's just no tricks. There are no divine beings that are trying to trick anybody into being tripped up by some game that's being played. It's straight. Heal what is necessary, and the Divine Mother comes and either shows what it is that needs to be surrendered, or brings the healing balm of love and allows and brings that healing to you. And all you have to do is allow. It's very straightforward. Love, God, wants you to remember and will do whatever is most helpful to serve that remembering. And the truth of God is completely aware of what is most helpful. That's when the journey becomes very easy. When your prayer is just, you decide what's in my way. I'm willing to see it. I'm willing to recognize it, and I'm willing to surrender it. And I'm willing to have the healing balm of love be given. I'm saying yes, transform whatever is needed. And resting in that trust. That shapes the eye. Children can easily open the drawer that lets the spirit rise up and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter. When the mind is consumed with the remembrance of God, something divine happens to the heart that shapes the hand and tongue and eye into the word love. Children can easily open the drawer is a metaphor. It's not really referring to children, but the innocence, the willingness of innocence that says yes to letting the spirit rise up and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter because there's nothing ever to worry about. That's the innocence of the spiritual seeker that recognizes we all must become children and let go of anything of what we know and how easy it is in that state. And something divine does happen to the heart. And it brings the word love through all the senses because you've surrendered. there is a clandestine element of the ego that doesn't get brought to the light a lot, but it definitely can run the show in the world, and that is the spiritual ego. It's kind of like a distant cousin that's kept over someplace else in town. And it isn't given very much credence in the questioning. But it's a constant digger, and it's so easy to not see the spiritual ego because it shape changes to look like spiritual learning or spiritual connection or spiritual something. And it's a shape changer. Its intention is to be concealed, but where does it grab hold? Because it grabs hold in almost everybody. It's meant to. It's a particular strategy that is useful to the ego in separation. The spiritual ego sees itself as a spiritual seeker, but truly separate. There is an I that is very dominant, and there is an identity of the seeker that has arrived or accomplished something or conquered something. And then it's all very personal in that realm. And in that personal place, the spiritual ego kind of takes a role that it continues with until it can't continue any longer, because it can't go into love. It's the belief of separation, even though it's couched in a spiritual identity. I had a very beautiful teaching for many years that was about refusing the spiritual ego, except that I didn't know that I was truly refusing the spiritual ego. There was a determination in the spiritual journey to accomplish and to even take on the role. There was a clandestine identity, a role that felt so much better than the role that I had carried in the past. It was an upgrade for sure in my mind to have a spiritual identity. Except that it couldn't take me to true healing, because the spiritual ego is really determined to hold on to being a special identity, special from the world, where you look at the world and you see yourself in a much better place than most of the non-believers, or whatever you want to call them, in the world. And it seems like you're getting better but it's still a role. And so that really does have to eventually be let go. To have a valuable spiritual identity has no value at all. The nobody needs to be brought to light. The realization that there's nothing to be, there's nothing to aspire to, which seems in some ways very contradictory, because when you're in the spiritual journey and on the spiritual journey, you're focused to move and learn and open and connect. But it truly is a journey without distance to a place you never left, which is such a contradiction. So, because of this spiritual ego that hides behind identity somewhere, it's very essential that you keep your heart in the awareness that there's nobody to be. That is not a loss. It's that you can't be defined. You cannot be limited. You cannot be put into an identity of any kind and held there as if that's it. You are everything. You are everything that is the truth of love. And the spiritual ego wants to define you as special, as a spiritual aspirant, as better than you were. But all of it is this limitation that cannot touch the beauty, the perfection, the glory that is the truth of your divine spirit. But no costume comes with you. And the spiritual ego is it's an easy one for sure, because there is a genuine place of prayer and communion and love and inquiry and opening, and yes, that's genuine. It's just that the ego kind of grabs it along the way and says, okay, we're getting somewhere now. We're doing good here. We're making progress and we're better. And the calling is just to realize that there is truly nothing to prove within the spiritual journey. There is no name to be called. If someone else sees you as inspiration, if someone else sees you as helpful, if someone else sees you as their teacher, as whatever, that's their calling. But there's nothing to hold on to in the belief of the I. There's no identification that is going to finally give you that sense of belonging or peace or better than you were. Does that negate that you are in some way better than you were? As you release everything that never was, you're truly opening to what always has been. Just because we forgot the truth of the love that we are, just because we forgot doesn't make it that you are earning something or proving something or gaining something. You have always been the light of God. And the remembering is just remembering. It's the veil that lifts and you realize, oh, there was no place to go, nothing to get, certainly nothing to prove. And here we are as one all along. What is it that the spiritual ego is trying to get except identity? Proving an identity of some kind. For many beloveds, the spiritual journey has very variable purposes, and no one knows the healing that any divine being needs to walk through. Every beloved walks in the mysteries of what is most helpful. And as each beloved walks, they are the divine light of God. And there's, even in the journey that seems like a journey, there's absolutely nothing to prove. Absolutely nothing. And truly nothing to become, because when you look at divine beings known as Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, all of Muhammad, all of the divine beings, they are nobody. They are nobody and they are everybody. But they are you. Every beloved is you. Here is your reflection. There is nothing here that is any less or different or more. All of that is being called to just be released. Come empty. Says it so many times. The teachings say so many places, so many times. Come empty. Come naked onto God. Naked of all identity. Do you use temporary identities within the world? Yes. Yes. When someone says, oh, your cousin is blah, blah, whoever, and you, yes, you acknowledge that. And within the world, you serve that identity, you serve that role. But the whole time that you're with that role, you are holding deeply the awareness that it's not reality. It's a temporary role that has been taken on, and its healing is in the surrender to the divine for that role to only be used for love. That it be transformed from the use of a role that was a personal identity within the world to the use from the Holy Spirit that you are the instrument of love. And the role temporarily serves to serve and help others to remember. But in no way do you attach to it as you used to attach to it in the past. Now it's God's domain. It's God's identity. Temporarily. Use it. With happiness, with joy. And that it's truly meant to be of divine service, whatever the role is. Let it be blessed. Let it be used for the grace of God, and that it's not personal. There's nothing to get from it. That is the most painful place of identity, is that the belief that in the identities that you carry, the roles that you've used or identified with, that you're going to get something from them. And of course, it doesn't happen because there's nothing to get. You already are everything. And the role is to serve beloveds, and it will serve you as well. But there's just nothing to get from it. That in the spiritual journey is one of the most shocking, I found anyways, most shocking discoveries was that, oh my gosh, there's nothing to get. That's all I've tried to do, is to get, to prove worth, to find a better identity that would be tolerable. And then love is calling and saying, just drop them all. None of them are you. None of them. Who am I then if I'm not these roles? What am I if I'm not these roles? And then in that questioning, the Holy Spirit takes you to see the light that you are, the Christ being that you truly are, the perfection that you are, the innocence that you are, the little child that you truly are in the hands of God. And the roles can then fall away. Let them be fluid and not be attached to them, because then the pain doesn't come back up again. There isn't a role that anyone has ever taken that doesn't have some kind of proving factor to it, or else we wouldn't take the roles. Within each role, whether it's the role of a parent, the role of a child, the role of a brother or sister, the role of a boss, they all have the same basic value, which by themselves they have no value because they're ego made. But when they're surrendered into the hands of God to be used for love, they become the role of the Christ. They become your offering of peace and harmony and joy to each beloved that you have a role with. It's not to criticize or reject the roles. It's to see through the roles and really see the beloveds that you have given roles to. And to really question the roles that are used within the world to prove worth. Because they will never give you what you're really looking for. In this same arena, is a statement that says, in no situation do you realize the outcome that will be most helpful and make you happy. In no situation. So this is directly ties into roles. But this is one of these teachings that is very humbling and very essential to embrace, that in no situation do you realize the outcome that will be most helpful and make you happy. Now that could either be taken as a panic. In no situation are you going to be able to decipher what's best. But the glory of it is that you have all the help that you need to put you in the direction of what is most helpful to you and what will bring you the happiness of following God's lead. Because that's all that it's about, is I want to return home as easily, as effortlessly, and as quickly as God finds it necessary and helpful. That was my prayer. You decide how I'm getting there. I don't know. Teach me to recognize what's in my way. Teach me to surrender. Teach me to surrender. Please teach me. Teach me how to rest in God. I don't know how to rest in God. That is not a statement of defeat. That is a statement of truth. I don't know how to rest in God. Where would I have learned to rest in God? I need to be taught how to rest in God. How to sink, how to accept, how to trust, how to let go of the fear of trusting and really open to the truth that God knows what is most helpful for me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because love will direct me. I'm content to be wherever love calls me to be, knowing that love is there with me. In that moment of show me the way, the spiritual ego doesn't stand a chance because there's not a knower. And you will always find that the spiritual ego and the knower are very well connected. They like each other a lot. They serve each other a lot. But that's all the letting go. I don't know what to say or what to do because love is going to direct me. I'm one with the universe and I want to be directed. I'm one with all creation and I want all the teachers to serve this remembering. You decide among you teachers of the universe that which ones are most helpful to me. I'm not even going to limit the calling to which spiritual teacher is most helpful in this moment. I invite you all. They're happy to oblige. I watched beloved beings at a certain point of shifting within the spiritual journey. I watched the guides change places. I had a particular guide and he literally stepped aside so that the other teacher could be more directly in charge. And it was an understanding in the moment that oh, This is now the teacher that is carrying the vibration that is now my vibration that I must enter into with this beloved being. And there were many teachers at the same time, no one in conflict, but just a teacher coming in with a vibration that was just exactly perfect in the moment, and then stepping back aside and the other teacher being there. Never any lack of divine instructors, of asking, what's most helpful now? Help me learn to rest in God. Help me learn the way of love. It is the habit of the mind to make problems and doubt. And it is the way of your guides to alleviate all of your beliefs of problems and doubt. There is nothing in the truth of God that is wanting you to be believing in problems, in difficulties, in doubt, but to turn all of your attention to trusting all the sacred teachings and diving as deeply as possible into every teaching and soaking it up, drinking it so deeply that you think you're going to burst from drinking so deeply. And yet, let yourself be insatiable. That's the place to be insatiable, is in the sacred teachings. That you want to drink them so deeply that if you could, you would take the entire teaching and smother yourself with it if you could take in the truth of it any quicker or any deeper. And to keep asking for the depth of it. Take me deeper. Take me deeper, divine guides. I want to dive. I want to be smothered in the truth. I want to swim in it. I want to wake up in the morning in rapture in the will of God. To be just in a moment to realize that you have found the connection to God, that you have woken up enough that this is your purpose in your journey of life, to return home, and that you are so close, and that you have spent all these lifetimes lost in the desert, in pain and suffering of all different creations, using that word loosely, and that you are so close, and it's this lifetime that you are so close to remembering. You can taste it. You can feel the pull. And to be just absolutely in rapture that this is how close you are. Don't see it as a burden. It is the delight of your existence to be so close to remembering. That it's true, even if you're not remembering, that it's true that there is the universe of God's love, and that you live in it and are it, and you are that exquisite reflection. Let yourself be in that rapture. It's breathtaking. It truly is. To go from a lifetime of believing in the terror and the nightmares of pain and suffering, and to step out of that agreement, even if you're not completely stepped out of it, but you stepped out of it enough that you know that there's another way. You know that that's not the truth. That is magnificent. That is magnificent in its enormity, in its grandeur. That the nightmare was a lie of any kind. Anything that was not peace and joy and harmony was just made up, having no truth. And you're this close. It's 1 minute to midnight, and my train is pulling in. It's 1 minute to midnight, my new life will begin. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Let yourself be thrilled that you felt the call, that you heard your heart calling, that you didn't turn away from the seeking. Celebrate your yes and embrace as soon as you wake up in the morning, the holy rapture that thank God you were mistaken, that you weren't right about the past. Celebrate that. Thank God I was mistaken. Thank God I didn't know anything. And thank God I still don't. And embrace that journey. And you definitely are being called to whatever the spiritual ego looks for in identification. As Jose used to say, just drop it. Drop it and it will go away, because you have the power of that choice. When the mind is consumed with the remembrance of God, something divine happens to the heart. Part of that is your happiness of being so close. And the thank God that you weren't right about the past, about anything. Allow that glory, that truth, and let love be the only guide that you follow. As the old identity starts to fade behind you, you don't bring it with you. Your magnificence can't bring a little identity with you. The gratitude of thank God. Thank God you were mistaken. And thank God that the door opens easily, truly.